Just one moment. What is Twitch?
Which is another type of social media, Marnie. I don't think we have an account for Community Board 11 on Twitch, so you don't need to.
No, it just came up. It's a new option.
Yeah, no need to stream to Twitch if we're on Facebook. All good.
And the meeting is being live streamed, Ross.
Well, thank you and welcome everyone to Community Board 11 Brooklyn's Planning and Zoning meeting. Today is April 7th. We have today our committee, guests, and the representative for the developers who have an application in for ULURP at 2080 McDonald Avenue for a change to a C4 from an existing M1 R5 zoning designation. For some commercial use. We were discussing whether this is the second or third time that we've had the pleasure of discussing this with you. There has been a presentation before. So Mr. Plotnick, if you can tell us where you are, just for the record, where you are in the process and what, if any, I guess, changes or things you'd like to share with us, and maybe open it to questions as you like.
Sure, and thank you very much to everybody who took time to be here tonight. We are here tonight for probably, I might be misspeaking. It's either the fourth or fifth time that we've met with your committee in a ULURP application that is about to be certified by city planning on Monday. So if you're all experts in housing in New York City, if you ever want to tell anybody why it's so expensive for housing in New York, you could tell them because it takes 4 years to go through a rezoning process. You've been working on this with me for 4 years, and I thank you. And I have the application to show you tonight to refresh your memory. And I wanted to let you know that we're presenting, going to be certified for this ULURP application for a rezoning on Monday. And I wanted to present it to you tonight, just to refresh your memory before it's certified, to make sure you know it's about to be certified. It's coming up. So when you hear it next month in your formal application, if you have any questions that are coming up before then that people have, I just wanted to give you the chance to see it and be alert to it. I'm not really asking you to do anything necessarily. I just wanted to show it to you, and nothing has changed since the last time we've met with you. I'll go right to the presentation to show it to you if I can, and then I'll tell you what we're doing. Austin will pull it up right here. This is as if you were in a helicopter looking above it, but this is the site. You're on the corner of Avenue S, Lake Street, and McDonald, obviously, and you could see it right there. You're right on top, as if you were in a helicopter. But Austin, if you can go to the rendered image on page 19 of the plans, almost at the very back of Lake Street, this should refresh all your memories. If we go to this picture, one more, go a few more, Austin. It's got the rendered image. There's that one, but there's a better one that shows it from Lake Street. There you go. That's good. Okay, so we presented to you a proposal for the last few years. Property zone manufacturing right now, it's an M zone. So we are asking you permission to rezone the property to what's called a C44. Actually, it's M zone, and it's a portion of it is R5B. We're asking you to rezone it from the M to what's called the C44L. The C44L would let the developer build what you see here in front of you. And when we had met with you, a lot of time had been spent talking to you about Lake Street, and that's why I asked Austin to go right to this image. You could see right at the bottom of the screen there, the awning that's there. That's a proposed daycare center. If you remember, to the left of that is a you can see a 3-story brownstone type row house. That's a part of the development also. To the right of the daycare center, you'll see the entrance to the parking garage. See that little blue car in there, and then you can see to the right of that the entrance to the residential building. That whole streetscape right there was the work that we had done with you throughout the course of the past few years. Those were concerns that your board had expressed about the location of the daycare, about having daycare on that side. It was very important that it's not be a proliferation of commercial on Lake Street. That's why it's shown with daycare. It was asked that we include, we don't let the building butt up right up against the existing homes. So we cut the building back a little bit and we put that brownstone there, it's separate and apart from the development to make it more aesthetically pleasing. We kept the building itself lowered on Lake Street so that it's only 4 stories on Lake Street, as you can see, until you get to the corner of Avenue S. Again, that we did with the input of your board. So the building itself has been designed around that concept. Austin, if you can go to one of the other renderings, it shows it from another perspective, please. We can take you around the building a little bit just to refamiliarize. This is what the building would look like from Avenue S. This is obviously if you're up in the air looking down on it. You could see that it's been set back away from the train tracks. You can see that the setback there on the McDonald Avenue side. You could see that on the Avenue S side is where all the commercial activity is really geared towards that, and on McDonald. So again, the idea of it all is to pull it all away from the residential that's on the other side and orient the density of the building where it should be oriented on the McDonald Avenue side of the property. We're proposing to have a total of the number of parking spaces I was just going to get to. I was just looking for my notes here. 67 parking spaces. That's a good image you're on right there. Go back, Austin. Where you were was just great. I didn't even see you were there. This is great. This is what I was looking for originally. This picture really takes you down back onto the Lake Street side of the property, which again was where you had asked us to spend a lot of time designing it. So this gives you a perspective as if you were on Lake Street. As far as the building itself goes, if it were to be approved, it would be able to contain approximately 66 apartments. Approximately 20 of those would be affordable, 16 to 20. We're working out the numbers right now, and they would be at option level. We've spoken with the Councilman Yeager, and he would be supportive of MIH option level 2. So that's what we've spoken and speaking about. And we met with Councilman Yeager last week, and we talked to him about it as well. You should know that. And what else can I tell you? There'll be parking at the cellar for 67 cars, and that parking space will basically be 1 parking space per dwelling unit. And there'll be commercial space at the ground floor. So you'll have the apartments upstairs. You'll have the daycare here, like you can see on Lake Street, and the remainder of the ground floor will be commercial. Austin, you could pull this down now. That's essentially the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions or refresh your memory or go back on anything. I'm sure many of you, or whoever's on with us, probably remembers there aren't that many people here. Thank you for your time.
That's great. Thank you. I'm glad to see there's
Ross, what were
Yes.
our demands originally?
demand. Well,
Well-
our issues there were a couple of issues, and one of them, I think, several people brought up is the placement of the where the garage is in relation to the school, the preschool. And I can see from the photograph, anyway, the rendering, that the entrance is, I guess, at the furthest point on the same side of the block, but at the furthest point in the building that it can be.
Yes.
Kids won't be coming out right next to the entrance.
That was what you had asked us to do, and that's why all those entrances on that side were oriented there, so that everything was separate. It made sense.
And at one point, I think we were concerned about, Lake Street in particular, and I think that's the reason for the, paraphrasing what you're saying correctly, Eric, is that's why it's set down. You have the 3-story attachment, and you have the lowering of the side. Originally, the rendering was just a straight, however many stories, all around the building, and then it was brought down in the second rendering. Is that correct?
Correct. Everything you see on the Lake Street side was all really a direct input. Eileen, I don't want to miss calling you Eileen because I don't want to mispronounce your last name.
I answer to anything.
I bet there's been quite a few interpretations of your last name through the years. So the reason why, what I'm trying to call out, and I think, thank you, Ross, for calling it out also, is the entire Lake Street side of the property, Eileen, was recreated after we met with you, and a lot of people brought up some pretty valid concerns, both about the size of the building on that side of the street, as well as the types of commercial uses. So that's why you see the daycare. Then once we got past that, there was a lot of discussion about where the entrances for the cars should be, where the entrance to the residential building should be. Past the entrance to the residential building be pushed closer to the corner of Avenue S, away from the quieter part of Lake Street. The same with the cars. People like the idea of the kids for the daycare. Nobody seemed to be too concerned about having kids, getting in and out of daycare, and they like the idea of it being over there. So that's how to answer your question, Eileen, that's how we got to the entire design of the Lake Street side, was with the input of your board.
Okay, thank you.
I think one of the, I guess one of the questions, the entrance and the exit to the garage are in the same location,
Correct, on Lake Street.
both on Lake Street. I think one of the things we had tried in vain or to make happen was maybe see if the entrance could have been on McDonald Avenue, but that quickly didn't work out. And I think you explained it before, but
McDonald Avenue, I know from the French Connection, that the overhead trains and the cars, they don't go so well together. So we won't.
no, that was New Utrecht there.
I know it was on the Utrecht, but to the person that doesn't know the difference, it looks remarkably similar.
I got you.
I know it. That's funny. That's a good piece of tidbit. Good piece of useless movie.
So if it's okay, I'm gonna open it up to Marnie and members of the committee, of course, to ask any questions you have, and then we can find time to discuss it on our own. But is that the presentation? You're ready to go on Monday to get?
Yeah.
And then it'll come back to us?
That's it. I just didn't want you to be caught off guard. I would have gotten to you a couple weeks ago had I realized it was even coming up this quick. I just don't want anybody to ever not know what's happening or have your committee be under any kind of pressure, because once it's certified, you're under a ULURP time clock. So I just really wanted to give you as much time as I could and to remind you. I think we were just with you. If I remember correctly, Marnie and Ross, it might have been over the summer, or is the summer? I remember we met in one of the rectories. We had a meeting, and I had reintroduced it to you at that point in the middle of COVID. So.
St. Finbar's,
Yes.
Yeah. Did across the street tire shop before that, a few years before that, we were next to the tire shop. We met with you one night, I remember. So we met with you a couple of different times so far.
Okay, so Lori, Marnie, Man, is that Man?
It's no, it's Andrew.
Oh,
I was on,
I'm sorry.
on one single device right now under the Windsors. I just wanted to thank Mr. Palatnik and his team for I'm not sure substantively on anything just yet, but procedurally, the way he handled this and giving us a fair warning before they're up on Monday and everything, and the time clock he talked about, it is very much appreciative in making sure this goes smoothly for everybody in the community. So I just wanted to say kudos for that.
Thanks for saying that. I to do it primarily because of the food that used to occur at the community board meetings. That was really the only reason. But now that we're not, I don't get any food when I come. I'm just doing it for the company, really.
So
Thank you all very much. And thanks. I think we do better when we all work together. So thanks a lot for the compliment and for the comment. All right.
You.
If you don't want anything, I'll let you speak.
Marnie?
We'll hop off.
Okay,
You're muted, Marnie.
you're muted.
Famous last words of COVID. You're muted.
You would think after 2 years, I would look at it before starting to speak. I just wanted to say for the public that may be watching in, and to remind newer board members that once the clock begins and the application is referred to us, we will initiate public hearings for the public to weigh in and review the presentation. So I just wanted to share that we haven't begun, the community board hasn't formally begun reviewing this application. So I just wanted to make that very clear. That's it.
Okay, well, if that's okay, and if everyone agrees, motion to adjourn. I don't think we need a motion, but I'll take one anyway. Lori Windsor, seconded by Salvatore. Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, everything.
Good
So we'll
night.
talk soon, Marty.